Hello and welcome to Study with Sudhir. In this particular video, we will be looking at what your approach to the ICSE Class 10 Semester 2 Board Examination of Geography should be like. What exactly should be your approach, both in terms of studying, revision, and of course your approach during the examination. Now, there are 5 broad points that I want you to bear in mind. First, of course, is the map marking, which is of 10 marks. Remember, in geography is one of the few papers where you do not have MCQs, right? So that 10 marks has been allotted to map marking and you have much fewer items to actually remember. So in that sense, your job is quite easy compared to what your seniors in the pre-COVID era did. So ensure that you do enough practice. There is no need for color pencils. That's one obsession. Of course, many schools practice with color pencils, but you can do it with a normal gray pencil. That is perfectly acceptable. Okay. One thing that you need to remember, that if you are using arrows, right, in order to point to the particular feature, the arrow should point to the feature and not to the name that you are marking in the space outside, right? So that's something which you need to keep in mind. Okay, do not make that mistake, otherwise you would be penalized. Now you have 5 chapters in all, right, of which you need to do 3 questions in the examination. Now, a person who likes to take risk will prepare only 3 chapters and leave out 2 chapters completely so that geography is taken care of. But given the fact that many of you actually did not do very well in the semester 1 geography paper, I would advise against taking any risk of this kind. इस तरह का रिस्क बिल्कुल मत लीजिए. मेरी सलाह यह है कि आप एटलीस्ट 4 चैप्टर्स जरूर प्रिपेयर कीजिए. If not 5, definitely not 3, but at least 4 chapters. If you have to leave out one chapter, okay, you could leave out you could leave one chapter and not leave out 2 chapters is what my advice would be. Now, many students ask me which chapters or chapter should they leave out. Now, see, it depends from person to person. It depends on your interest. If you are the kind of student who is good at memory based kind of chapters, then you should go in for the agriculture or the mineral based industries or even the energy and mineral based energy resources and minerals chapter or the industries chapter, because there is a lot of content that needs to be memorized in these 3 chapters, right? If you are the kind of student who is very good with botany, right, then agriculture and the agro based industries kind of chapter would be just up your street, right? Agriculture and a bit of the agro-based industries are kind of interlinked, right? There is a bit of there are a few common areas in these 2 chapters, right? So if you've, some of you may find the industries chapter easy, some of you may find it tricky. It really depends on what your individual aptitude is. I used to find the waste management chapter quite tricky. Now, of course, the portion is very less, so that should not be much of a problem now. Okay, transport, industries, waste management definitely would be my chapters if I were to choose in today's reduced syllabus, and then either agriculture or energy resources depending on your aptitude. Okay, now what I will advise, and this, listen to this carefully, is while the buffer chapter is absolutely necessary, it's also important because, see, you cannot decide to do 3 questions from one section and 2 questions from another section. You can't do that. If you are going to attempt, you need to attempt all the 10 marks, right? So in cases where one question may be a little tricky, it's always important and advisable to keep a buffer chapter. एक buffer chapter होगा तो अगर by chance आपने agriculture prepare किया, agriculture में आपको 2 marks का नहीं आता है, लेकिन आपको transport chapter में पूरी तरह से आता है, so you can use that as the third option instead of going in for a section where you are not sure about all the 10 marks questions, right? Now, reasoning questions are important. This is the most important part. Why tea is grown on hill slopes, why copper vessels are used for cooking, or why copper is used in electrical wiring. Prepare a whole set of these questions. These questions will definitely come for at least 3 marks in many of the 3 sections, right? So this is very important. In fact, we have included quite a few of them in our test papers, in our geography test papers, which you could have a look at. Now, I find it a little surprising when I looked at some of the pre-board papers which students on our app were showing me, that many questions have been asked pertaining to acid rain, etc., which is not really part of the syllabus. A lot of the waste management syllabus has been reduced for the 2022 batch. So that's not part of syllabus. So I do not quite know why schools are confusing by asking these kind of questions to the students, and in a sense compelling them to do the entire syllabus instead of the reduced syllabus. Schools, I guess, would know best. Okay. Geography, of course, as I said, does not have MCQs, but you could get a lot of these 1 mark kind of questions. We have in fact put 2 sets of papers with 80 questions as part of our test series, focusing only on this 1 mark. A lot of these 1 mark questions actually pertain to the transport chapter, in particular also to the industries chapter. So that is something which again you should kind of prepare, because many of these 1 mark are like, you get it right, you get the 1 mark, you get it wrong, you lose it, right? So those can also figure as far as your question paper is concerned. So those are the things that I wanted to speak about as far as your geography ICSE class 10 paper was concerned. The syllabus, I would say, is not as comprehensive as your semester 1 portion was, and since it is subjective, you generally know the pattern of questions that could possibly come. But as I said, reasoning based question, the 1 mark question, and of course the fact that you need to do 4 chapters, that is at least 4 chapters, is something which you need to focus on. All the best to you. Thank you very much for watching.